What is going on, my fellow nerds? Operator Otter here, and today we'll be covering Stage 5 of the Lightning Cast on Critical Stormweaver. The content that we'll be going over in this video are the following: the pros and cons of the build, the core identity of the build via the skills and interactions with our character, changes in our gear and passive skill tree from Stage 4, and lastly, skill rotations, as there are quite a few of them to help you with your mapping adventures. Because we are now at Stage 5, I will have assumed you are one of three people. You are either a person who has played from Stages 1 to 4 and followed the build evolution on my channel, a person who has over 3,000 hours in Path of Exile, or a newer player who has not played Stages 1 through 4 and is about to get a speed course in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics because you have limited experience and knowledge with the game, and this will turn your brain into well-cooked spaghetti. Because of this, if you are player 3, I highly suggest watching my Stages 1 through 4 videos so that you are more educated on the reasonings behind decisions made for the build. With disclaimers out of the way, let's get started. First, let's talk pros and cons of the build. The pros are, it's a combo-oriented playstyle, it one-shots everything, whether it's the screen or the boss, it doesn't matter. It's a non-meta build, which means it's cheap to craft in comparison to meta builds. Now let's talk about the cons. Vice versa, it's not a one-button build, so if that's what you're looking for, this ain't it. It's squishy compared to other builds, so make sure you're paying attention to the map. And conversely, even though it is a non-meta build, and much cheaper than a meta build, getting to this point is still expensive. Expect yourself to invest at least 250 div orbs in order to get to the equivalent power seen in the video. Now let's talk about the core functionality of the build and what are the main interactions that cause the build to deal enormous screen-wide clears as well as one-shots to bosses. As previously stated, I will be speaking to you as adults, so buckle up, here we go. In this season, GGG introduced the mechanic of infusions. These are remnants left on the ground that when picked up are stored as a sort of charge on your buff bar. These infusions can then be consumed by multiple abilities to do extra effects and damage. For this build, the only skill that is consuming that infusion is Arc, which states that when a lightning infusion is consumed, your Arc will now deal 3 times more damage than its base amount. So the 3 things we need to ask ourselves are, how do we cast arcs as fast as possible? How do we generate infusions at a rate to match the arc cast frequency? How do we deal damage to bosses when our mana disappears too fast? Let's address question number 1 first. We do run a manual arc, but its primary purpose is actually to empower the main way we generate an arc cast, and this is cast on critical. The way cast on critical works is that it generates 1 plus the increased percentage energy gain multiplied by the power of the monster for each critical hit that occurs. If our cast on critical percentage increase is 54%, and we are fighting a monster with power of 1, we will generate 1.54 energy. Conversely, if we are against monster levels 2, 5, and 20, we will generate 3.08, 7.7, and 30.8 energy respectively. There are also gems and passives in the game that can further increase how much of this energy we generate when we trigger it. Now the question is, how much energy do we need to trigger the spell cast? Well, for cast on critical, it states that the needed energy to trigger the spell is equivalent to 10 multiplied by the base cast time divided by 0.1. For arc, the base cast time is 1.1 as shown here. This means the energy needed is equivalent to 10 times 1.1 divided by 0.1 or 110 energy. Therefore, if we were only fighting monsters with power level 1, we would need to generate 110 divided by 1.54 rounded up or 72 crits to trigger a single arc cast. This seems completely impractical, and it is when you start using cast on critical at too low of a level or without enough critical hit chance. But as you can see here, let's count how many times the cast on critical triggers during these 10 seconds of combat. That was 17 total triggers of arc. How is that possible? Well, this is because of the combination of Orb of Storms plus Tempest. Orb of Storms has a very high natural critical hit rate. In the build on screen, my crit rate with Orb of Storms is 82.24%, and Orb of Storms can chain up to 10 additional targets with each spell cast triggering all active Orb of Storms. Tempest then allows all instances of damage to branch to 3 additional targets. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much math, but I'll quickly just say this. In a perfect scenario, if we spam Orb of Storms in a Tempest, we can generate 350 crits per second, which far surpasses the needed 72 crits needed per second to generate a triggered arc cast within that 1 second. This math was also considering monster levels with only power level 1. This does not include magics or rares, which have a power level of 2 to 5 respectively, and can drastically increase our energy production. But wait, there's more. Because of the Scion's Temper gem, for every cast of Arc invoked by Cast on Critical, we get a stack of Wild Shard, and every time Arc is cast, there's a 20% chance that 8 additional Arcs will be fired in all directions for each stack of Wild Shard. This means if we have 5 stacks of the Scion's Temper and trigger it, we will generate an additional 40 Arcs. These Arc casts from Scion's Temper do not benefit from Lightning Infusions. Because Lightning Infusion increases the damage of arc by a factor of 3, we can inversely say that every 3 arcs are equivalent to 1 infused arc cast. With 17 triggered arc casts that were infused, with a 20% trigger rate, we would be able to invoke Scion's Temper 3.4 times. For the sake of statistical confidence, we will round this down to 3 casts, which would be the equivalent of 15 Wild Shard casts or 120 more arcs. This then equates to, on top of the 17 lightning infused arc casts, we also get 40 more infused arc casts, which means in a 10-second period, we were able to output the power of 57 infused arcs or 5.7 infused arc casts per second. This would be the equivalent of having arc on a 0.17 second cast time, and every time it casts is infused and empowered by Tempest to deal 6 times its base damage value. Okay, so that was the hardest part of the video. So if you got through that, the rest of this should be pretty easy because it all functions off the principle we just discussed. So now let's address question number 2, which is, how do we generate enough infusions to keep up with the frequency of the triggered arc cast? 2 ways. One is through Orb of Storms. Orb of Storm states that when a spell is cast next to it, it will fire a bolt, and then if it expires or has fired all 6 of its bolts, it will drop behind an infusion. The cool thing is that the triggered arc cast count as spells casted, and therefore will play into the orbs dropping the infusion. By manually spamming Orb of Storms, Tempest, and triggering the arc cast, we will expel the 6 bolts from the Orb of Storms very easily and consistently drop infusions on the ground. The other way is Lightning Warp. Lightning Warp creates an infusion on cast, and Lightning Warp can be cast on Ball Lightning. When you combine this with the Unleash gem on Lightning Warp, a single cast of Lightning Warp will actually cast it 3 times and fully empower you with 3 Lightning Infusions. This allows you to instantly go into a Tempest upon arrival of the Lightning Warp, cast your manual arc with 100% crit rate, and then watch the cast on arc go wild. The third question is, how can we deal damage to a boss when our mana instantly disappears? In mapping, we don't care about casting arc 2 times a second because we have mana on kill in our passive tree. Our mana feels infinite, but against a boss, our mana depletes faster than we can blink because the power level of the boss triggers our cast on crit so hard that we cannot keep up with our mana regeneration. So what do? This is where we need to think outside the box. For mapping, it was a question of how do we speed up the cast on triggers? With bosses, it's the opposite. How do we slow down the cast on triggers? The answer is one simple swap. We put Lightning Conduit in place of Boundless Energy on our Cast on Critical Jewel. Remember how Cast on Critical casts 10 energy for every 0.1 seconds of cast time? Well, Lightning Conduit has 1 second base cast time, but also another plus 1 second to total cast time, meaning it takes 2 seconds or 200 energy to cast. If we put this into Cast on Critical with Arc, this means we need to generate 310 energy rather than 110 energy to trigger our cast on critical. This gives us just enough time to get our 3 orbs, Frost Bomb, Elemental Weakness, Tempest, and the manual arc out to apply all of the relative damage multipliers before the conduit drops and literally deals over 30 million damage to Zesh. It's gross, and that is how we kill bosses. 1 gem swap, it's that easy. Phew, okay, the script is over. We're going to be going a bit live here. It'll sound more organic, but what we're going to focus on now is the changes from stage 4 to stage 5 being our gear, our sockets, our gems, and our passive skill tree. So let's start with our gear. The first thing that we're doing is in our primary, we're going to be running a wand and a focus now. It gives us more damage and more defense. And then for our secondary, we're going to be running the chiming staff with cast speed and the lightning skill levels. It can be any skill levels because the elemental weakness can be lightning, cold, or fire. So whatever you can get with a really good cast speed is going to be flowing very well in the practicality of the game. So let's talk about the actual rolls that we want on our focus and our wand. So for the rolls on the focus, we're going to want that maximum energy shield. That's going to give us a lot of defense. We're going to want the mana, the +3 level to all spell skills, the critical hit chance for spells, and the cast speed. For the wand, it's going to be a bit of a doozy, all right? This is probably going to be your most expensive piece of gear. All right, we want that +5 to all lightning spells. We want that gain per damage as lightning. We want 2 of the 3 being spell damage, lightning damage, or elemental damage. And then we're going to want the increased critical hit chance for spells, and we're going to want the cast speed. Now, the other thing that we can do to really make it awesome is make it an exceptional wand, which allows it to have 2 sockets without it being corrupted, which is super powerful. We'll talk about why in a second, but I do want to show you how to search for this wand in the actual game. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open up our trade. We'll go ahead and click wand right here. We're going to go to equipment filters and click 2 rune sockets. From here, we'll go to miscellaneous and go corrupted No. From here, we're going to do our lightning spell skills, which is going to be right here. We want at least 5. We're going to do our cast speed, which is going to be at least 20. We are going to do our critical hit chance for spells, not for chance, just for spells. And we want 50. From there, we want gain damage as lightning, and we will do at least 20. And then from here, I'm going to do a count. And what I'm saying is I want at least 2 of the 3 stats that I'm putting here. So that's why I'm putting 2 right here. So we'll do spell damage, and then we're going to do elemental damage, and then we're going to do lightning damage. And from here, I'll put 40 for each, just to be nice and low with this, and we'll search. And as you can see, yeah, these ones are pretty expensive, guys, all right? It's not a cheap investment, but it's very much worth it. Now, what you can do if you want to go a bit cheaper and you want to be a bit more affordable, you can go 1 on the rune socket, and now it's much more attainable, right? We got 17, 20, 23, right? That double socket really does add a insane value to the wand, but there is a reason for that. It is a massive DPS increase if you can get it. So if you have the capital, definitely go for the double socket wand, but if you don't, it's okay. You can still go for a single socket wand and you'll still have a blast and it will do very, very well. All right, from here, we're going to talk about our socket options. The best one that we can do is going to be Hedwig of Sandra's Rune of Wisdom, which gives us +1 to level of all spell skills. We want this in our wand, and we want it in our staff. The reason why we want our staff is because it will increase the level of elemental weakness, which will further reduce the elemental resistance of the target, which will give us a lot more damage output. The problem is that these runes are very expensive. They go for 8 to 9 div orbs. So what are some secondary options? For our wands, the next best thing that we can do is a Greater Storm rune, which will give us gain damage as lightning damage. They are very cheap. Next one from there is going to be the Greater Iron rune. Now, why is this? We've spent a lot of passive skill points into critical hit chance, so we don't have a lot of spell damage in our build, so spell damage is actually pretty powerful. Now, for the staff, the next one is going to be Venomous. Venomous will increase the cast speed of the staff, which will allow you to flow through your spell rotations faster when you are doing your weapon swaps, and they are still very cheap. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to get all of our skill gems to level 21 for our damage skills and some of the other ones. And what I mean by that is if you look here at Lightning Warp, it says level 20 from the stem and then +1 from the corruption. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that. It is going to require quite a bit of capital to do it. So I'm just going to go through this and go ahead and buy these on the market and speed it up real quick.
Let's see if there are... I'll post it right away.
Okay, so we now have all of the required pieces of equipment, so let's go ahead and talk about what we need. What we're going to need is, usually I've found it's about 6 to 7 that you're going to need in order to kind of not guarantee, but have a very high chance of getting that +1. So we're going to need 7 skill gems. You can go ahead and get 18s. These are the ones that are the cheapest right now on the market. Then what you're going to need is enough gem cutters prisms. So you're going to need 7 times 4, so you're going to need at least 28 gem cutters prisms. You're going to need at least 7 perfect jeweler's orbs, 7 val orbs, and then you'll need your uncut skill gem right here. Now what you can do is you can actually get Omen of Corruptions to increase this chance a little bit, but from there you have to understand that they're 19 exalteds each right now, so that's going to be like another 130 exalteds. If you want to do that, that is up to you. So the first thing that we're going to do, I have it in the order in which you need to do this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this here and we're going to go ahead and quality it. So it's quality. From there, we would perfect jewelers it. It's already perfect jewelers. That's good. And then we're going to val it. Let's see if it hits. It did not hit, so we're going to put that over here. So the next one comes up. We're going to turn this into our elemental weakness. So we create our elemental weakness. We quality it. We put a perfect jeweler orb into it, and then we are going to corrupt it. Boom, it hit. Second try. Awesome. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is we take this and we put it into our here. Then we're going to click the level 20. It will take the level 18 to 20. And now we have our level 21 skill gem. And there you go. That is how you actually create those level 21 skill gems. And that is what you want to do. I got very lucky. It was on the second one. Usually for me, it's between 5 and 7. So just be prepared to invest into that. RNG can be, you know, what it is sometimes. So just be prepared for that. Okay, and the last thing that has changed from stage 4 is going to be our passive tree. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. What we have done is we have taken the points out from going from Echoing Thunder and from Dynamism, and we have actually gone this way up the tree and grabbed our True Strike, our For the Jugular, and our Deadly Force. These have absolutely netted out much more DPS, much more damage for us, so that's the reason why we're going for that. The second thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing this Controlled Metamorphosis Diamond from a medium large to a large ring. And the reason why is now we actually get to have access to Harmonic Generator and Spaghettification. Harmonic Generator is going to increase our critical hit chance against shocked enemies. It also increases the magnitude of the shock you inflict with critical hit chance. We have very high crits, so this magnitude is massive, which allows our Lightning Conduit to do a bunch of damage on that single target boss, which is really nice. Spaghettification gives us plus 13 to all attributes, which is super nice for converting all of those strength and dexterity nodes that we had to take for our gems and Malagaros. We can now convert them into intelligence, which will give us more mana for arcane intensity and more intelligence for pure power. So that is a very good swap there. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is what level do you need to be to actually play this build, and that is level 87. The 8 points that you'll be taking out, because I am level 95, are going to be this ones right here, these 4, and these 4. So this is your level 87 board. You take out those 8 points. From level 87 to 91, you're going to go ahead and grab these 4 right here. And from level 91 to 95, you're going to go ahead and grab these 4 right here. And that's it. That's the passive tree changes that we are making from the stage 4 build that we had. All right, and the last thing that we're going to talk about before I let you guys go is going to be some combos that are going to help with your gameplay. So let's go ahead and start from the most basic one, which is going to be your ×2 Orb Tempest Arc. So 1, 2, bam. That is going to just clear out the entire map wherever you want. The whole map is gone. Don't even need to worry about it. The next one that I really like is going to be the Lightning Warp Tempest Arc. This one has performed super well for me. So we're going through the map. We see some stuff over here, and there's some extra mobility. So we cast this. Because we have Unleashed on our Lightning Warp, we are fully empowered. We just go straight into a Tempest. We arc. The arc goes out at 100% crit rate because we have inevitable critical in our arc. It's empowered. It goes out. It deals all of the damage, and then a bunch of other arcs come out, and it just clears the screen. Very, very nice combo. The next combo is going to be what I call Walking the Dog or Walking the Orb, which is just Tempest, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to Tempest again, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to Tempest again, 1, 2, 3, and you come out and you'll Tempest again, 1, 2, 3. So that's just walking the orbs. That one will just clear out the whole map as well. It does very well. Next one is going to be your Ritual combo, which is literally just Sigil of Power, Tempest, and you just sit here and you spam orbs the whole time. And because of this, everything is going to automatically die. And because you have that kill or mana on kill, you're just going to revive all your mana and you'll never have issues. The last one is going to be your boss setup. So for your boss setup, let's imagine that the boss is going to be right here. All right. So from here, you actually kind of want to set up on the boss that they have a spawn time. So what I'm going to do is if this is a map boss, I'm actually going to, before I even get to the boss, I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to come up to the boss. If I can, before trying to trigger it, I'll cast my Sigil. I'll go ahead and get it pumped up a little bit with the Elemental Weakness just to get that orb here. I'll go ahead and cast my 3 as he's spawning right when he becomes attacks. We're going to do a Frost Bomb, Elemental Weakness, Tempest Arc, dropped. Dead. Boss is dead. Gone. That's going to be for mapping bosses. If you're doing something like Zesht or you're doing something like Arbiter, something that you can do is you can actually prep the arena. So you can do something like this, where now what I'm doing is I'm actually prepping the arena with a bunch of the lightning infusions that are around, and then from there I can go ahead and do the same thing, and I'll sit here and wait. The boss comes up to spawn. I'll go ahead and put down my 3 Orb of Storms, Frost Bomb, Elemental Weakness, Tempest Arc, and then I can walk above the lightning infusions and pick up the things for the cast on criticals, and the boss will just drop. And that is your combos for that. Just make sure that when you are going against bosses that you're actually taking your swap for Boundless Energy in your cast on critical. And that's all she wrote. I have nothing else for you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I do stream almost daily, so it'd be awesome to have your support. Planner and Discord links in the description below. One last thing, if you're a blood mage and thinking to yourself, can't a blood mage just do this better? Yes, indeed it can, but my response to you would be, you know what a blood mage is. It's an abomination, and you should be ashamed of yourself. # make Sorcs great again. Okay, bye.